For nearly 2 centuries, Siemens built the modern physical world. They laid the heavy iron, poured the steel, and electrified global infrastructure. Their factories churned out massive power turbines, intricate rail systems, and even heavy industrial machinery that weighed thousands of tons. But today, one of history's greatest engineering empires is actively dismantling its own legacy. They are pulling the plug on the very hardware that built their name, replacing forged metal with lines of code. To survive the 21st century, this industrial titan is attempting to delete its manufacturing DNA entirely and reconstruct itself as a pure software powerhouse. Heavy engineering is a punishing business model today. Global competitors and rising raw material costs have compressed traditional manufacturing into a low-margin trap. This diagram shows the brutal math behind that trap. On one side, you have the staggering capital required to build and run massive physical plants. On the other, a volatile, shrinking profit margin that barely covers the cost of keeping the lights on. In a volatile global economy, owning millions of square feet of physical factory space stopped being a competitive advantage. It became a heavy anchor dragging the balance sheet down. This hardware debt crisis made structural change a requirement for growth. Incremental efficiency gains in the factory could no longer offset the diminishing returns of heavy industry, making an exit from the physical world a strategic necessity. The strategy to escape was the great digital decoupling. Siemens began systematically shedding the heavy hardware divisions that had defined their brand for over a century. They boxed up and spun off their massive energy units and walked away from the heavy rail and transport divisions that originally put them on the map. With that cash unlocked, they went on an aggressive buying spree, acquiring pure industrial software firms like Altair and Brightly. This visualization illustrates the core shift in their business model. They moved from selling massive, one-time physical machines to licensing highly scalable, proprietary, cloud-based automation ecosystems. By trading iron for algorithms, they successfully rewired their operations, emerging as a high-margin service architect. The nerve center of this new digital identity is a proprietary platform called Accelerator, which now serves as the operating system for global manufacturing. Here we see a digital twin. Accelerator maps a virtual replica of an aerospace testing facility, allowing full mechanical simulations using code. Testing entirely in the cloud eliminates physical prototypes. Whether an automotive chassis or a complex pharmaceutical molecule, clients digitally stress test designs, saving billions. The software also monitors the final products out in the real world. By integrating AI-driven predictive maintenance, the system detects anomalies and warns operators of machine failures long before they require an on-site manual inspection. Siemens no longer relies on physical sight to manage a factory floor. They are writing the underlying code that runs it. Pulling off a corporate DNA transplant of this magnitude generates immense internal friction. Management has a deeply entrenched workforce of traditional mechanical engineers, people used to working in hard hats and measuring in millimeters, suddenly being forced to adapt to the rapid, iterative workflows of an agile software organization. Beyond the internal clashes, their new digital arena is fiercely contested. By pivoting into pure industrial automation, they are now directly competing against the massive engineering teams of Silicon Valley tech giants. There are also significant geopolitical vulnerabilities to navigate. Transitioning global supply chains from localized physical factories into highly centralized, cloud-dependent digital networks introduces severe cybersecurity and infrastructure risks. Combining a divided internal culture with hostile external competition creates a high likelihood of corporate tissue rejection as they try to replace industrial iron with software code. If they survive the transition, the endgame positions them at the absolute top of the manufacturing food chain. By 2026, the global economy will demand fully autonomous systems, a landscape known as Industry 5.0. Long-term profitability is now tied to the scale and consistency of recurring software subscriptions. Success in this era is measured by platform integration and high-margin digital licenses that scale without the friction of physical shipping. This aggressive deconstruction provides a clear path forward for other aging industrial conglomerates. Siemens is proving that the only way to survive the crushing weight of the physical world is to completely escape it.